Recruiters. My name is Beth Binkley. I am the Marketing, Outreach, and Recruitment Manager for AmeriCorps VISTA, and I will be walking you through all of the aspects of the NOFO, and as Julie mentioned, I will take questions at the end of the presentation, and just a reminder that any questions you have, that you will enter them in the Q&A pod on your screen. So today we will be covering an overview of CNCS and AmeriCorps VISTA, talking about what the Campus Recruiters Funding Opportunity is, who is eligible to apply, how much is available, what are the requirements, and just some other key application points such as when the applications are due, the start date, notification dates, and that's it. So before we go into more details on the Campus Recruiters Opportunity, let's get an idea of who has joined us today for the webinar. If you would please provide your name, the name of your school, and the location of your school. In the chat box, I should have mentioned that, in the chat box. University of Louisiana Monroe, University of Virginia, RIT in Rochester, New York, Siena College in New York, University of Northern Iowa. Great, we've got folks from all over the country. University of North Texas, Minneapolis College, Arkansas State, West Virginia University. This is awesome. Great. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad that you could join us today. All right. So let's get a quick overview of the Corporation for National and Community Service, or CNCS as we call it here, and AmeriCorps VISTA, just in case we do have some folks that are new to National Service or to VISTA. First, CNCS is the federal agency that leads service, volunteering, and grant-making efforts in the United States. We help millions of Americans improve their lives and the lives of their fellow citizens through service. We work hand in hand with local partners to tap the ingenuity and the can-do spirit of the American people to tackle our country's most pressing challenges. And VISTA is a program of CNCS working to eliminate poverty through the service of VISTA members. VISTA members are 18 years or older who spend 1 year serving full-time in each of the 50 U.S. states and all of the U.S. territories. Each year, more than 7,000 AmeriCorps VISTA members build capacity in nonprofit organizations and public agencies to help them more effectively generate the commitment of private sector resources, encourage volunteer service at the local level, and to empower individuals and communities. So now that we have reviewed some of the basics about CNCS and VISTA, let's dive into more information about the Campus Recruiters. So, the Campus Recruiters is an opportunity for AmeriCorps VISTA to partner with 2- and 4-year colleges and universities to promote national service on campuses and in the surrounding communities. Our goal is that this will allow us to increase our applicant pool for service opportunities within VISTA and the community organizations across the U.S. It's also an opportunity for schools to engage a student in meaningful part-time work to connect their student body to life-changing professional development experiences. National service can be a pathway to employment and further advancing the hiring potential of your school's graduates. Ideally, the Campus Recruiter is an AmeriCorps VISTA alum or someone on your campus who is very familiar with the program. And we see this as a part-time opportunity for a graduate student who can work to meet the deliverables that we described in the NOFO and that we'll talk about later in the presentation. All right, so who is eligible to apply? So 2-year and 4-year higher education institutions with at least 5,000 undergraduate students are eligible to apply for this funding opportunity. We have also included a priority with the goal to have a balance of urban and rural schools represented. And colleges and universities will receive a maximum of $20,000 to fund the campus recruiter position. And AmeriCorps VISTA also intends to award up to 9 cooperative agreements. Under these cooperative agreements, CNCS and AmeriCorps VISTA will be substantially involved with the recipient organizations as the approved cooperative agreement activities are implemented. We will assign a staff who will work with the award recipient regularly and frequently to develop and/or review project delivery and status, including work plans, budgets, periodic reports, evaluations, etc. We anticipate having a substantial involvement in the management oversight of each project to ensure performance benchmarks are met, data reporting, and documenting and sharing lessons learned. So moving into requirements, the NOFO describes what must be included in the recruitment strategy and sets the expectations of both the higher education institution and VISTA. Campus recruiters will implement the recruitment strategy to promote national service as outlined in the NOFO, which includes, but not necessarily limited to, developing partnerships with key on-campus diversity departments and leaders that include multicultural diversity offices, student transfer offices, student life offices, scholarship program offices, club leaders, Greek leaders, and so on. Campus recruiters will host information sessions and application workshops for students, attend events, career fairs, and any other meetings that can support their efforts in this role. Schools will be required to identify and hire the campus recruiter, provide on-site supervision, a workspace and access to meeting space, a laptop and a phone line, email address, business cards, office supplies, and online presence in the school's directory, among other supports. As mentioned earlier, VISTA will have a substantial involvement in the implementation of the agreement. This will include our team also providing trainings on VISTA and other national service programs under CNCS, trainings on reporting, trainings on applying to VISTA opportunity listings, and also providing collateral materials such as posters, brochures, and banners, whatever the campus recruiters would need to assist them in recruiting and outreach. Staff from the VISTA Marketing, Outreach, and Recruitment team will have regular check-ins with both the supervisor and the campus recruiter and will provide overall support for the recruitment and outreach efforts. So some of the key application information. Applications are due on Monday, August 26th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Applications are to be submitted in eGrants. So you will need to set up an eGrants account. If you need help to establish a new organization account in eGrants or a new user account for an existing organization account, you can contact our National Service Hotline, and the number for that is 800-942-2677. This number will also be posted later in another slide. And this is also explained in the application instructions, which are in the handouts or can be downloaded from our website. So I have a couple of tips to share with you in starting your application. So number one, start your application several days or weeks before the due date. eGrants can sometimes be a clunky system, so do not wait until the due date to begin your application. And if you have any problems working on the application or submitting the application, again, please contact the hotline, as I mentioned just a moment ago. And be sure to retain the help desk ticket that the hotline gives you so that you can provide that information to our office if for any reason your application is late. Good tip number two is I encourage folks to first write the application in a word processing app such as Word and then copy and paste it into eGrants. This will ensure that you have a copy in case there are any issues within the eGrants system. Our applications will be reviewed by internal staff, and we will notify awardees in mid-September, and we will work with all awardees to have a start date by September 30th. And by start date, this means executing the agreement and preparing to start the project. Okay. We moved through that pretty quickly, so now that we've reviewed all of these aspects of the NOFO and the requirements. Do you have any questions? And if you do, just a reminder to submit them in the Q&A pod. Is that, okay, Sean Dammits, is that $20,000 for member support costs in addition to a living allowance? So this is not any sort of direct service, and this is not a member opportunity grant. This is more of a cooperative agreement in which a campus would be hiring someone who would assist with promoting national service on the campus, and so it would cover the cost of that individual who would not be considered a member, just as a reminder, and that would be covering the cost of that individual's salary and or health care or any other costs associated with the hiring of that individual. And is there a cost share component? No, other than what we are asking the schools to provide office space and computers and phone lines, things like that. There is not a cost share component, and there's no matching funds required. Would you consider this part-time? And what are the minimum hours allowed? Yes, we do consider this part-time. I mentioned that earlier on a slide that we consider this a part-time opportunity. And I would think that minimum hours would be, 20 hours a week. Our school only has 3,000 students, but we do have a regional council on, let me open up this. Let me come back to that one. I can't seem to open up that. Could you share backgrounds of those reviewing the applications? Those will be folks from our VISTA office and also other staff from our agency. So these are all folks who are familiar with all of CNCS programs, and so those are the folks who would be reviewing the applications. Are there portions of the application that are weighed more heavily than others? That is outlined in the NOFO. We do outline how we're breaking down everything, and I believe what we're calling the program design is carries more than the organizational capability and the budget. So, are there key areas that the committee would like to see addressed in the application? We're pretty prescriptive in the application about the recruitment strategy, so we're definitely looking for what we have prescribed, and so I would say that is what we have listed is what we want to see. Are there opportunities to renew? Good question. This year is a pilot, so we will make that determination to see how things go in the first year, and then also dependent on available funding. If we have more than one campus in our community, can the recruiter work collaboratively? That's a good question. I would imagine that if you are, I'm assuming that's a state university possibly that has multiple campuses, or a community college with multiple campuses, it seems like that would be okay, but I will check on that. see. Is the requirement 5,000 students enrolled or 5,000 FTEs equivalent? It just means the requirement is just that there's a minimum of 5,000 undergraduate students. Let me see. Also, wait a minute, I'm just having a little. Also, the enrollment required based on total enrollment or undergraduate enrollment. Okay, I think I answered your question. It's undergraduate enrollment. Let's see. The application seems to only have two parts, organizational capability and cost effectiveness of the budget. We also have the program designed where we do ask for some information on about the recruitment strategy, and even though we are pretty prescriptive as to what we are asking for in the recruitment strategy, we still do ask that folks address that particular section. Okay, all right. Our school has 3,000 students, but we're part of a regional council or community engagement that represents 10 campuses. I wonder if we could apply as a group. William, that looks, Figueroa, that is your question, and that is something that we are actually looking into right now to see if that's something that is allowed within the parameters of this NOFO, and we are going to have an answer for that once we talk with some folks here at our office, just to make sure that that's something that is allowable. So I don't have an answer for you right now, but we will be working on that. Okay. When would the funds need to be used by if, sorry, I'm losing these questions. If the university receives funding from national, state, a state national AmeriCorps pool, does that have any impact on application? It shouldn't. This is completely separate, and this is, it should not have any impact. And the funds you would have 1 year to use the funds. So the start date has to be by September 30th of 2019, and so whatever start date the school has, if it's the 25th of September or the 30th of September, then it would be 1 year from that date in the following year of September 2020. Could funding be used with other funding sources to hire a full-time position? That is a good question, Sean. I will get back to you on that. Just as a FYI, we are going to pull all of the questions from this webinar, and any questions that I am not able to answer, we will be getting answers. Okay. Can the funds be used to supply the person hired with materials? For example, computer and office supplies. We have been pretty clear that the funds are used for salary purposes and for any benefits, so that the person who is hired has any health care and salary for that. just going through and making sure if I missed anything. Okay, I think that was, if I've missed any questions, I'll go back and answer them, but it looks like I have been able to address them. If there are any other questions, please put them in the Q&A pod, or if I have missed your question, you can repost it for me to see it. Okay, it looks like there's some coming up. Okay. Can Energy Express, let's see. Can Energy Express utilize VISTA members on campus as a partner in recruiting for our program, even though we only use members in our program currently? My understanding is VISTA leaders are the only folks who assist in recruiting members. So I will get back to you on that question. And that was from Andrea Price. So I'll get back to you on that, Andrea. If part-time, we do not provide benefits. Is this an exception we need to make? Is this, Emily Devereaux, is this in regards to a part-time staff person that you would not be providing benefits to? If you could let me know if that's what you're talking about. I just want to make sure you're not talking about a member. Well, we are hoping that, ideally we would like for the person who takes on this role would have a salary and benefits, and that that the up to $20,000 could cover that. So I don't know if that answers your question about you having to make the exception, but I mean that's what we would like to see. Okay, so you're saying, Anthony, in the eGrants portal that the narrative section for the recruitment strategy program design is not showing. Is that correct? If that is the case, definitely we'll talk with our folks here to make sure that that is showing and to make sure we get that up and running. Thanks for letting me know. Great, Emily, we can get an exception. Okay, I think that is all of the questions. A lot of good questions. And for those that I was not able to answer, I will definitely be going through all of these and making sure that you do get an answer. And we will either email you directly or post a sort of frequently asked questions on our site. But make sure that we get these answers to your questions. I will wait just another second to see if anybody has any other questions. All right. Well, I think we can move on from the Q&A, and I'm going to post some information, some contacts for you all. If you have any questions after this webinar, please email us at vistaoutreach@cns.gov. And for any eGrants issues, remember to contact the National Service Hotline. The number is posted here, and it's also on our website. And then for the handouts that are posted here online, you can also download them at our nationalservice.gov site, and it's under the CNCS Funding Opportunities and Resources, and that's where you'll find the page for the FY19 AmeriCorps VISTA Campus Recruiters page, and all of the information is posted there. So I thank all of you for participating in our webinar today, and we certainly appreciate your interest in this new pilot. We're very excited about it and glad that it's generating some interest from all of you. And